All right. Hello and welcome to today's episode where we're going to talk about the fear of feeling feelings. And, specifically, we're going to kind of lean into the feeling of fear. But, I want to talk about this very kind of nuanced topic of just the fear of feeling whatever's going on in your body. And really dive into that today because it's such a nuanced point that I think often is unaddressed, and it's oftentimes like one of the very key things that's holding people back from really breaking out of the loop and really living the life they want to live. So, real quick, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Matt Cotty. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and the founder of Restored Minds. If you're looking for help on your journey to recovery from OCD and anxiety, I have some links down in the notes to get you started with some great resources over at restoredminds.com. You can head over to restoredminds.com as well. Check everything out there. And then also, if you could help us out by liking, subscribing, and leaving a nice review for the show on iTunes or Spotify, I would really appreciate it as it helps out the algorithm. So let's go back into the topic for today. So, the fear of feeling feelings, and it really is truly amazing the length and the depth people will go to not feel what's going on in their body. Now, I'm going to make a very broad statement right now, and this may or may not apply to you, but the reality is that probably 90% of people in the world are really out of tune with what they're even feeling. Right, what's happening is they're noticing energy in their body. That energy, kind of turns to thought, or the mind essentially is justifying the presence of the energy. And then they're following whatever the mind is saying to do to try to get rid of that energy. Right? That's how most people live. So someone says something, right, that quote unquote makes you uncomfortable. It offends you, it triggers you, whatever. And instead of noticing where you get that feeling in the body, being able to sit with it for a second, let it dissipate, the mind instantly is like, I can't believe that person would say that. I need to say something back. And all of a sudden you retaliate, or you do something destructive, or you leave, or, you do whatever your mind says. And this is really the pattern most people live from, whether it's in almost every aspect of their life. They're unconscious about what they're feeling. The mind is just running endlessly, and they're just listening to whatever the mind is saying. And they're trying to control their environment to make sure they don't feel anything uncomfortable in their body. And it's a broken way of attempting to live peacefully, because the more you try to control the outer world to make yourself feel okay inside, what you're going to find is you're often just going to make things worse, because what your job really is to get to the place where you can feel what's going on in your body. Now, that might be feelings of, again, fear, anger, guilt, shame, pride, desire. You can look at kind of that scale of emotion, right? Made famous kind of by David Hawkins, or Dr. David Hawkins, as well as, the Sedona method. Lester Levinson talks about the scale. And Frederick Dotson, right? There's many people that have written about this energy scale, or the emotional scale, levels of consciousness, whatever you want to call it. What we need to be able to do is first eliminate the fear of feeling. Because on some type of level, we have this fear, whether it's conscious or not, that if we feel what's going on in the body, that something terrible is going to happen, So, and the irony is, right? So even talking about fear, and there's a lot of common objections, right, that I get when I present this stuff to my clients that I work with. But really, this idea of, I don't like this feeling, right? if I feel this feeling, something bad's going to happen. um, People even bring up stuff like law of attraction stuff. So I don't want to feel this, because if I feel it, then I'm going to attract more bad stuff into my life, things like that. And the reality is nothing further could be further from the truth. It's our avoidance of feelings that perpetuate them. So if you really were in, let's say, a law of attraction mindset, right? And you're like, I don't want to feel fear because I'm going to bring bad stuff into my life. I'm going to attract bad stuff. The avoidance of fear is paradoxically keeping it perpetuating in your body, right? So the direct confrontation of what is, it allows it to release, right? That's why, like, letting go from Dr. David Hawkins, right? The Sedona method, right? Anyone that teaches emotional release work, I mean, the process is taught direct. I mean, Richard Dotz speaks a lot about it in his books, and as well as Frederick Dotson. Those are probably the most the authors that I've learned the most from. At the end of the day, all it's about is about being conscious of what you're feeling in your body. And then once you realize that it is really just a feeling, it's just sensations, and you drop your resistance to that emotion, your body knows how to then release and process the excess energy very intuitively without you doing. You're not actually going and releasing emotion. You're simply releasing your resistance to it. So when we talk about the fear of feeling feelings, that's really what we're addressing, our fear or resistance of feeling to begin with. And the way that we overcome that is we have the courage to just bring our awareness to the sensations that are in our body. That's it. I mean, in many ways, it is that simple. Now, is there a lot of stuff that we can talk about beyond that? Sure. But for most people, this one thing would be enough to drastically change their life. Is just their ability to say, okay, I notice, even noticing and becoming aware that there's a lot of energy or emotion in their body. And instead of going with what the mind is saying to then get rid of that, it's just bringing your direct awareness to it. I'm working with a coach right now, more of a spiritual coach, if you will, or into concepts like spirituality. And like one of the things he said, and I thought it was just so brilliant, so simple, is just like, where do I notice that there's a problem? And that question is ever since he said that, it was like just really stuck with me, right? It's just because it's so simple. It's like, no matter what's going on in life, money, relationships, your body, work, kids, politics, it's like, where do I notice that there's actually a problem? Where do I feel like there's a problem? And what that does is it reels your awareness out from the outside world, right? So whether you're caught up in politics, international affairs, the stock market, whatever it is, where you think the problem is, where do I feel in my body like there's a problem? And that question allows you to start placing your awareness in the correct place, which is in your body. And you just begin to become aware of wherever you feel what you feel, and not rejecting that experience. That rejection of that experience is the problem. The rejection of the experience is what causes you to then go do compulsions. The compulsions are what create the loop. The loop is what destroys your life. Real simple. For those of you that have read my book, The AAA Response, the reason the AAA Response, a lot of people find a lot of success with it, is because of the simplicity of it. OCD and anxiety are not these complex, unsolvable things. They're really not. We love to make them complex. And the reason we do that is simply to avoid this process that I'm talking about right here. This is the number one thing that holds people back, is the unwillingness to just feel what's going on in their body as it is. And the constant rejection of yourself as you are is what is going to create the chaos. If you allow yourself to feel an emotion, it runs its course eventually. It just has to. There's no emotion that's permanent. And then the pushback often is, well, yeah, man, it's really uncomfortable. Okay. Is it more uncomfortable than destroying your life by engaging in a bunch of compulsions or substance abuse use or avoidance and reassurance and destroying relations? Is it more uncomfortable than that? Really? And I know this is like, okay, this is some real talk here, and it's going to make some people uncomfortable, right? But that's okay, because it's like the amount of people I see justify to continue living in the loop and watch and stand by and watch the destruction it's causing. Like it's so destructive. It's one of the most destructive things you can do in your life. And you have to ask yourself, why are you continuing to do it? And the answer, almost always, at the very root of it, is just simply, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel what's going on. I don't like this experience. And if we can learn to feel what's going on, to overcome the fear of feeling by moving into the level of courage and saying, you know what, I am going to just sit and feel what's going on in my body. For most of us, that's the pinnacle point of freedom right there. Because once you're no longer afraid of your own emotions and you can feel your own emotions, then you don't feel the need to start controlling the world outside of you. You begin to be okay saying, okay, look, I'm feeling this emotion. And I can feel it. And it will run its course. My body will shift out into higher states, all on its own. My job is to be consciously aware of what I'm feeling. And that fear of feeling feelings is that step, is transformational. There's one thing that I've seen that's transformational. It's a person developing the skills and courage to say, you know what, I can sit and feel this. Because when they do that, they no longer need to control the world to make sure they don't. Moreover, is when they do, the emotion runs its course. And the body processes the excess energy, just like it knows how to do. The catch to this whole thing is that you can't go and try to feel it to make it go away. You have to just feel it to feel it, because it's what you're experiencing right now. And your willingness to honor that experience and to be with that experience, because that's part of what's going on in your personal experience. So I hope this was helpful. I think it's a very nuanced point. I wanted to talk about it today. So I hope it helps you. I hope it serves you well. And with that said, again, if you're looking for help with this, you want guidance, coaching, implementing this in your life, head over to restoredminds.com. We have some great resources, all sorts of different options to support you on this, and we'd be happy to do so. So with that, I hope you have a great day, great week, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Hey there. So if you enjoyed that video, we've linked up a few more videos that we think you'd find helpful as well. And if you have found this helpful, we'd really appreciate your support by liking and subscribing. And if you're looking for help and guidance, please check out restoredminds.com, as we have several options for you to get started. See you guys soon.